Right. Yeah, so I'm recording this interview. So thank you. I'm finally getting you two wonderful, two of the busiest individuals in the entertainment industry. One in New Orleans, a producer, trombonist, composer, mover and shaker in the jazz industry and education. And Larry Batiste, a trombonist, also producer of R&B and gospel music, moving and shaking on the board of the Grammy trustee. So it's a pleasure to bring you two together. Welcome. And Larry, before I let you take over the interview, I need you to finish that story though.
Oh no, I don't want this story. It's just another story.
Yes, he went to Quincy Jones' house. He got invited. He was one of 30 people. And then he met Lil Nas X.
Yeah, I was just telling her how, nervous I was. I was going because I had met Quincy several times, but in this intimate setting, I'm going, what the hell are we going to talk about? So, but anyway, we go up and on the road there, they got the little people out there with the pad and make sure you're on the list. And so when I rolled up, it was one of my friend's son that I went to high school with. So I'm going, shit, at least I know the person outside. So if all fails.
You can do that.
As it turns out, it was really nice. I went in and I knew, 6 or 7 people. And one of them was Lil Nas X, and he had that big record out. Nice kid. And but I now I realize he's such a marketing genius. I'm just admiring the work he's doing, and he's found his audience, which is a big part of the gig, is knowing who your audience is and how to, cater to them. He's done a great job of doing that. So, what do you think? Whatever you think about him, he's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
can't be denied.
Yes. So it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah. I'm delighted to do it. Sorry, I've been detained a little bit.
But being at home looking out the window.
Here we
are. Looking for something.
Let me get this light on. Hold on a second.
Do your thing.
That should take care of that shadow. No, okay. It didn't really. It just made it brighter.
You showing right now how many hats you wear. You're the musician, you're the recording artist, but now you got to be the director, the lighting guy, and the
got to make it look right,
Yeah, it just comes as second nature.
Yeah, it's all kind of the same. I think when you produce and you're used to kind of looking at big picture, it's easy to look at it from the standpoint of like you said, with the lighting and the directing, and if it's creating the CD design, and sometimes it's a hindrance. It's better to have other people just do these things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what you want to look like, all that. So it's just really cool. The thing is, I have no idea where to start. I got some stuff written down, but man, you do so much. You and your family are just, of course, you guys are essentials and must-sees in New Orleans and all over the world. But, before we talk about your music, I just want to know, what was it like growing up in that household? What was that like with a father who's a prolific and professor and all your family? I know it just probably seemed normal to you, but this was amazing. What was that like, man?
Yeah, we were products of the civil rights movement in the late 60s. In the 70s. So a lot of it was our mother, working hard to make sure that we grew up to be responsible men and that we were prepared to deal with the struggle that her and all of her, her people, all of our ancestors had dealt with.
Right.
So as far as the musical part of it, I'd say Branford went and started playing music probably younger, maybe 8 or 9 or 10. I started at about 12 or 13. So, but our dad was not at the house a lot. He was often working. He taught school during the day, and then he would play solo piano at the Hyatt Regency from 5. I think the gig was from 5:30 to 10 or 10:30. So we didn't really see him a lot. That's when I was probably about 11 or 12. We moved to New Orleans. You know, before that, the late 60s though, you know, sometimes my dad was really working hard to find work, and he was trying to play modern jazz in New Orleans, which has never been a popular commodity. It's not now, it wasn't then. It really wasn't then. But he had a group of people who followed him, and we would go to the clubs. There might be 10 or 15 people in the club checking him out. And it was just something that was the most important part to us, was how serious he was about the music, even though it wasn't to, you know, thousands of people.
Right.
So it didn't matter the size of the crowd.
Right.
He played for real. It was like he considered it a special opportunity. Any chance he had to perform.
Well, that says a lot right there, because you know, from a child's eyes is looking at the work ethic, you know, looking at the fact that he was obviously doing something that other people weren't doing. So he was an innovator, you know, that type of thing, and that was showing you right there kind of what could be done, you know, like asking that question, what if, you know. And I see that a lot in you guys, you know, although your father wasn't around a lot, obviously music was in your DNA.
Right,
so, like,
right.
Even when I just went in the household.
I don't mean he wasn't around a lot, like kind of the cliche, oh, the black man isn't there. It wasn't that. You know, he was around when he wasn't working.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
But at a certain point, again, he had the 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So that took him out most of the time. But you know, he would always make time, and he used to, especially English was his thing. If I had papers that I was working on, a paper for school, then I would give it to him, and he had a way of understanding the form and structure.
Absolutely.
So even when I wrote my liner notes to the first CD, Pontius Pilot's Decision, and I read them to him, and I got to the end, and he said, well, man, that's the whole point of the entire essay, is this last paragraph. You need to put that first.
Yes.
So I said, oh, okay. So, you know, there were things like that. As far as the music, though, yeah, he had individual, and again, Branford and Winton, I would say, benefited a little more from that part, because they were older and understood when, you know, Sonny Stitt came by the house, for example, or Arnett Cobb, or, you know, I don't know, they would actually know more of the individuals. At that point, I was like, you know, 5 or 6. So,
but what a blessing, though, to have all that.
So,
yeah. Did you guys ever have a band with the brothers? Just
no, never did. Branford and Winton had a funk band that they were part of. It was the only band in the city could play Earth, Wind and Fire charts. Right. It's called the Creators. So that was their claim to fame. They could play the horn parts, this intricate horn things. And they were trying to get a trombone player, and I had just started playing. You know, I remember that. I just started playing for like 2 years. By my 3rd year, they were off to college. You know, by the 3rd year that I was playing. So I didn't have the technique enough to catch up with what they were doing.
Right, I got you.
So there was never really a time for a family band. And then Branford and Winton moved to New York. And at some point, Branford was at Berkeley. He joined Winton, and then they joined Winton's band.
Wow.
So yeah, there was no, you know, it wasn't kind of, you know, like the Jacksons. I think they grew up when they were 6 or 7, and the daddy's like, practice. Are you going to get in the closet and get in the closet and practice? Yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't.
Right. That's so good.
Yeah.
Man, so you have so much. You know, I think we're a combination of all our influences. You had so much that I could see that influenced you. And I know that you also study classical music. And you know, how much of that, when you're composing, how much of that classical influence influence your compositions in jazz?
Yeah, the classical training influences me in many ways, in the band leading, in the composition, in the soloing, from the standpoint that the way that we really were fortunate is that we all attended the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. And that was early on the school where, if it's, you know, Terrence Blanchard or Donald Harrison or Harry Connick Jr., we all had this unique training at NOCA. And I studied classical, so I was analyzing Bach fugues as a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, it's not actually that extraordinary, other than the fact that I was exposed to it. And,
right.
You know, Beethoven and Mozart, 2nd year, 3rd year, I'm, you know, analyzing Wagner and
Yeah.
more of the modern works. Penderecki has one called The Victims of Hiroshima.
Wow.
At any rate, but our teacher, Dr. Bert Bro, he and my father and Lorena Alfaro made an excellent core of teachers because they had a similar teaching style where they would always ask you, what do you hear? They would always ask you about how you're hearing and what you think about certain things.
Yeah.
More so than just giving you the information.
Right.
And that's a process that I still use when doing the master classes, just asking the students to figure out what they're hearing, what they're thinking.
Wow,
But,
you know, as a trip, you know, I do a lot of quotes. You know, Sheila could tell you that, you know, one of my favorite things is to, you know, get quotes that I think will help other people, help myself and all that, to just the thought for the day. And one of them is, you know, the best teachers are the ones that tell you where to look, but not what to see. So
yeah, that's it.
that's everything, man. So, hey, look, before we talk about your music, just back to your family again. Just congratulations. I know it's been 10 years ago, but for you guys to all to receive the NEA Jazz Music Masters Award, that was how special was that for all of you guys to receive that?
Yeah, it was, you know, it was it was kind of a bittersweet ceremony. Our mother had she kind of fell and fractured her hip.
Oh,
And that was kind of the beginning of the decline for her, you know. So it was, from that standpoint of view, the trip was a little rough for that reason.
sorry.
That's okay.
Uh-huh.
But just the idea of receiving the award was very special, and, you know, especially for my dad. And we really watched him struggle. And
Mhm.
just from the standpoint of, you know, New Orleans people are not interested in modern jazz. Just so we knew that there were many years that he didn't have any kind of, there was no opportunity for him to play what he wanted to play. Plenty of
Yes.
work playing
Yeah.
in traditional jazz bands or playing in more R&B, funk type groups. But, you know, we all knew that it was a special honor, and we were you know, excited to be there with him.
Now speaking of your dad, you did this album, The Last Southern Gentleman, and that was the first collaboration with him. That I'm glad you got that done. I mean, that's incredible, man. Whose idea is that? Something you've been wanting to do for a long time, or just got around to it? Whose idea was it to make that record?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was definitely my idea. It was supposed to be a ballads album, but it ended up being a collection of, it wasn't that, a ballads. He always wanted to do a ballads album with me. And so, you know, we put together some tunes, and I think it's a nice mixture, a nice combination.
Yes.
Of you know, we have ballads, but also groove tunes, and we do Sesame Street, and feature him on a trio, If I Were a Bell. He's just tearing it up. And original, one tune by Jason.
Right.
And my little brother Jason, and then one of my originals. I think it was just one.
Well, you know, the thing is, that's what's so cool about your records. You know, is that like most, you know, major record labels, you got to have one type of, it's a pop record. It's a whatever, you know what I mean? But you have the freedom to do whatever the hell you want to do. You know, and it's great. And it's like that because it's all music. Music is music as long as it's good, you know, and you managed to do that and cover the whole scope of every emotion. All the, you got all that in there, man. It's so cool. You're arranging, though. I think that's whether you're doing an original composition, whether you're doing a cover, or Sesame Street, or whatever it is, your arrangements are so epic. You know, when did you develop the fascination for arranging? You know, and how do you choose which song to arrange? You know, does it have to have a certain ingredient to say, okay, I could really do something with that one, you know, whatever.
Right. Well, I don't know, it's a difficult question to answer. I'd say that my time, especially in high school, and that what I learned, even though I didn't do any arranging in high school, that information that I received was crucial. And even at Berkeley, I don't believe, I may have taken an arranging class, but it wasn't much. But after I graduated, I had a manager, and she said, you need to put out a CD. If you want to work, you have to do the CD first.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'll start writing some music. And at the time I was really enamored with Wynton's band, had Kenny Kirkland on piano, Jeff Tane Watts, and at some point, Charnette Moffitt was on bass and Branford on saxophone. So they did the Black Code session, and I was there, and I just collected all the music. Every session that I would do, I would keep copies of the music. And as I'm writing my own music, I decided I was going to imitate or emulate Kenny Kirkland as much as I could. So that really opened up my understanding of certain type of sharp five, flat five chords, major and hybrid chords. And there's certain ways that structurally, he's got a song called Revelations. And I wrote it. Well, the song that I wrote, actually, I never recorded, Sweet Dreams, but I used the idea he has a moving bass part and the chords change. So that was something that I liked. So anyway, just to say that I'd say, Kenny Kirkland was just it's important to me because he understood how, he had a classical background as well. And he understood how to make things work. And when you listen to great compositions, there's a balance. Like some things are too long, some things might be too short, but you want to find that balance of this is what the song actually needs.
Right,
And,
I got you, yes.
But since sometimes you don't know, like I did an arrangement of Jason's song, The Man with Two Left Feet. And after I did it and I heard it, I could have just left it as he had it.
Right.
Because he captured the vibe of the song more.
Right.
The vibe of the song, The Man with Two Left Feet, is this guy who's kind of clumsy.
Yeah.
So it's got a little twist to it, but it's a swing. It's like that. We put more of a groove on it, and it's one of those things. We did the CD, Last Southern Gentleman, in 2 days, and there was not enough time to sit back and check it out and then redo it,
Right. Yeah, some things are better left alone, but you've been very successful at what you choose, you did an arrangement of the Flintstones. I'm going like, the Flintstones? I was one of these kids, who didn't miss a Flintstones episode, and so I'm going, I thought that was the coolest thing, and you killed it. What made you choose that one?
Well, Flintstones is always just kind of a good excuse to play fast. Melody is easy, but it's a lot of times when you're playing a fast song, the melody is like twice as long.
Yeah.
With something like Cherokee.
Right.
So that, so it's like a long notes. It's a bunch of whole notes. I think what's the other song like that? Oh, Duke Ellington has in Such Sweet Thunder.
Yes.
The bridge of Sonic to Hank Sank is like that. So it's deceptive because it's just long notes, but then you're going. So Flintstones that Flintstone. It's like, so that was just the arrangement. Was just okay. We're gonna play something fast.
Yeah, that was that was cool right there. A lot of double tonguing, huh?
Oh, you got whatever way you can get to it. As JD would say, get there the best you can.
That's really cool, man. So, wow, you've done so much. It's great. Now, okay, the latest album. Now, the Jazz Party is the latest album you have out, right?
Yes, sir.
With the Uptown Jazz Orchestra. That's a big project. A lot of people can't even afford to do projects like that. I mean, that.
We couldn't either.
You said you couldn't either.
We just go into debt, man. But it's like we got to put it out here some kind of way.
Right, exactly. That's huge, and it's like the rest of your albums. Before I talk about music, I want to know what gives you the freedom to do that. This label, a Troubadour Jazz Record, is that your label?
Oh yeah, yes. That's how they give me the leeway to do it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going, this must be his label because, he hasn't missed a beat. Right. Doing exactly what he wants to do,
Yeah, it was tough. I think I didn't really, I may have taken a lot of this for granted or not taken it really seriously a certain way early on. Because, I was signed to RCA Records. I put out Pontius Pilot's Decision. And then I had a disagreement with the brass.
Yeah, right.
Because the second CD, I had everything lined up. It was supposed to be Branford performing on the record and his band. And that was when Branford first went on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
So they weren't in the real space to do the particular CD that I was trying to do. And I told so we went into the studio and I told the brass, said, yes, it's not really sounding right. It's not what it needs to be. Because it didn't make any sense to me to have them on the CD playing, I guess, beneath where they should be.
Yeah, right.
And it really wasn't capturing. And then there was a thing of, well, it's going to be harder for us to market it if you don't have your, but so the shorter version of that is I turned down a contract from Sony.
Wow.
Because that's where they would have had the whole Marsalis family. They had Branford and Winton, myself. So I went to RCA thinking that maybe I'd get, more attention over there. And it turned out that because Branford and Winton were on the first CD, they thinking, okay, we're going to just have the Marsalis show at RCA. And I was trying to tell them, look, Branford, first of all, he's contracted to Sony Music at that point. Anyway, saying all that to say, I got out of the record contract, which is difficult because once you have a major label contract, typically you figure out how to work it out.
And they put you on hold. Some artists are just left on hold trying to fulfill out the rest, and they end up stagnated. You know?
I was stagnated. I went from 92 to 96, from 91 to 96, and didn't record. And then finally there was a label in Japan that said, King Records, hey, what are you doing? Come play with some of the Japanese guys. So I said, okay. So I did it. And then after that, when I recorded with Elvin Jones, I could see that the industry had changed dramatically. So the type of money that they were offering for CDs was laughable. So I said, well, if you're offering that, I could just spend that myself.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it's all, you got to just keep on going. And
amen. God's plan is better than ours. That ends up being a win-win situations where, you know what I mean? You doing your thing, you ain't got nothing on your shoulders and nothing weighing you down and all that. So congratulations on making that work. That's what, I talk about transferable skills, and that's the thing that we develop not only as artists and musicians, but especially as Black folks, making stuff work. People have no idea. They say, oh, it's a great record, blah, blah, blah. But you have no idea what it took to make this all happen. And once you're done, of course, that's just the first job, is the music. Then it's that's the rough stuff really comes, after that. So man, congratulations on making all this happen. And you have all your hair. You got.
Well, I grew it out. I used to keep it short for about 30 years. And then once the pandemic hit, I just, we couldn't go to the barber. So I just let it grow. So,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. So look, the music, how long did it take? Because this is a great album. Again, you cover a lot of ground, a lot of bases, on this record. And you got guest artists, you got vocals, you got a combination. You didn't leave a stone unturned.
Right.
On this record. How long did it take to put together from beginning to?
Well, we started working on music. I don't know exactly when, but we brought Tanya Boyd Cannon in. And really Jazz Party. I knew that after the first CD, which was Make America Great Again, I needed to do something where folks understood that we lightened it up. It's like, not to be so serious all of the time.
Right.
So I came up with the idea of Jazz Party before I had the song.
Okay.
And then, so Tanya Boyd Cannon, I met her and she came over and I sang the song to her. We're gonna have a jazz party all night long. A jazz party till the break of dawn. So she says, she just came up with that opening riff. She said, you open it up with, she literally came up just like that after hearing the song. And that was it. I was like, that's the hook. That's the whole thing of the song is. So we worked together on that. And what we're really trying to do is, I'm really trying to utilize some of the more popular music today, it's going to come more from the terms of, I guess, the groove or the beat. And that was the idea, was let's do something that's not what you would say is in the jazz mold as much. But that's just it. You know, my belief is that the jazz musician of the future is going to have to be able to play everything, and
absolutely,
and have to make strides to the younger people have to make strides to kind of meet their peers where they are. You know, there's a lot of arrogance with the jazz students, I think, where they're pure and they're playing the real thing. And I'm saying, man, look, that's really not, the music is not, that's not what the music is. The music has never been that.
But with the music is the connection. You have to connect and constantly be relevant to whatever. And that's what I'm loving about you. What you do is you connect all ages. You know, it's not because it's music. And I think if I had to sum it up, and it's your job to sum it up, well, I'm putting words in your mouth, telling me to shut up. But I think you're coming from a place of fun. You know, when you know, I listen to that album, it's like it's spirit, you know, it's fun. It's, you know, that seems to be the intention of that record.
Yeah, but you also have to know what the people need.
Yes.
And what I know now is people need that joy and celebration. So the people who are capable of actually bringing that should do that. Right. Some people, they can't really, that's not really in their DNA to do that. Right. And, you know, especially with Black folk and from New Orleans, we got the celebration all of the time. So people love to come to New Orleans because it puts people in a good mood.
Absolutely.
So we have to put aside any of the jiveness that's going on and just say, man, let's, like Louis Armstrong, you know, just how great, every note Louis Armstrong ever played puts you in a better mood.
Right, exactly. You know, and you're so right about that New Orleans thing, because like, just, you know, I'm in California, and just all somebody has to say is, I'm taking a vacation, I'm going to New Orleans, and people light up, you know, because it's got that association with, I'm getting ready to have a good time.
They know what it is. Yeah. And I mean, you know, it's just, so my thing with a lot of the New Orleans guys, especially those who are in school studying jazz, they want more to play music like people from North Carolina or maybe somebody from Boston. Like, they don't want to embrace the New Orleans sound.
Right.
Saying, man, it doesn't make sense not to embrace that. But, you know, that's the thing is in the Uptown Jazz Orchestra, it's good that we have these different personalities. Yeah. So we have more of your introverted characters and you're extroverted as well.
Right,
so
exactly.
Just trying to let everybody somehow be themselves. That's the task, you know.
Well, you did a great job, man. Celebrating the richness of the culture. And yeah, it's just awesome, man. Now, on your creativeness, what's your best space to create in? Where do you create better?
It doesn't matter. It just depends on the situation. I just have to get in the mindset. So I had a live stream that I agreed to do a live stream a year ago. Where are we at? October, right? A little bit over a year ago. And I knew that I didn't want to play well, first of all, I could have played my older music because it would require too much rehearsing. Right. And I didn't want to just play standards. So I said I wanted to pay homage to two people, the notorious RBG and Breonna Taylor. So the day of the live stream, I woke up and I was singing RBG, and I just sang it into the phone. It's real simple. Right. So I knew that. I got to the piano and I said, oh, okay, yeah, it's in a minor key. Worked out to change. We were able to play that. Now, Breonna Taylor was different because whenever somebody has a certain type of jiveness.
That was the thing at Snug Harbor that you did?
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yes. That was that live stream. And whenever you have somebody that has jiveness thrust upon them, like Breonna Taylor or George Floyd or Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin, right? Yeah. So sometimes the tendency is to do something that is more like a lament or something sad. Whereas, you know, in New Orleans, we try to celebrate the life.
Yeah. Even
So
the funerals are, you know, go ahead.
yeah, so Breonna Taylor was more of an uplifting. It's a church song. Do 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 dee do tick do do dee dee leader do do dee dee leader. And it was interesting, you know, trying to convince the musicians and say, man, you got to, you know, and that's the thing about the way that jazz is, that they're studying it now, is if somebody doesn't have an association with the church or with certain things that are real, it's hard to, you know, it's hard to give them that understanding. Like you can't learn the emotional importance or the emotional impact just in a classroom. That's very difficult, you know. Whereas when you're in a church on Sunday and the people are singing out of tune and they're in the microphone screaming all loud and the people are like, that's all part of it.
Yes, it is.
Everybody's not going to be studied musicians that are sitting there and they're playing and this and that, and it's emotionally bereft, you know. So that's to me, it's like try to summon that church, you know.
Man, I mean, that's the kind of stuff. What you're talking about is stuff you don't read about in books. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, have you thought about a book or anything like that, or just trying to put that in for these young folks to go, you know, yeah, this is what I need to be doing, you know.
I think I will, but you know, I'm learning so many things from these youngsters about their mindset, and I'm going to write it just for the sake of having it. But man, back in 2012, a radio DJ approached me. I don't even think we were doing an interview. He came to me after a show in Davis, California, at the Mondavi Center, which is where we're going next week. But he asked me, why is it that jazz education is one of the largest growing industries in the country, yet the audiences are continually shrinking?
Right, yeah.
And my answer to him at the time was that the students are not being taught or encouraged to love the music or even to like the music.
Right.
They're just going there and they're treating it like another class. The only difference is in this class, you get to improvise. So you get to do what you want. And I just did a master class at Auburn, Alabama, Birmingham, UAB. And it's interesting, there's a fellow on saxophone, and I could tell he had been practicing and he knows certain kinds of things. But there was a directive given to him that would require discipline. The directive was, you're going to play a long note for at least 2 measures after the 6th bar. Now he has 12 bars. That's not a lot of time.
Yes.
After the 6th bar, we were imitating Louis Armstrong's West End Blues. After the 6th bar, you got to play 2 measures. And he couldn't do it. So I'm asking his peers, so the peers always grade. That's how I do it. They play, the peers grade. The peers like, you know, 8, 8.5, 9. So I asked the peers, I asked him and his peers, I said, what was the directive? And he said, well, you know, then he took defense. You said after the 6th bar. I said, yes, but how long did I say to play the note? 2 bars. And I said, did you do that? No. Well, you get an F. I mean, which seems harsh, but the reality is that, you know, a lot of the students are attracted to jazz because they think that it doesn't require discipline. So now's the chance.
Right.
I can do what I feel like doing. I said to him, how many, you're going to play 2 choruses. Where's the climax of your solo going to be? I don't know.
Yeah. I
said, well, pick a place.
Right.
Well, you know, it just depends. So I'm like, pick a place or don't solo.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
All of that said,
people underestimate, you know, that music is discipline, music is math, music is all these things, you know, all this calculation that which you have to be pretty damn brilliant to be a great musician. You know, it's you know, at the same time, you know, have a good time, you know. And I just think one of the keys to life is flexibility, and especially in not only your academic life, but in your personal life, you know. I think that's the key to a lot of things, is being flexible. And what you're saying about these kids in terms of their awareness, I think that they would know a lot where they're going if they kind of know where they've been. So music education is so crucial to the future of these kids, man. I don't think they recognize that and don't value it. And so anyway.
Well, it's tough, but I get it too. They see or they hear the recordings of John Coltrane and he's playing a 15-minute solo, and that's what they want to get to. They want to get to that place where they can play. And my point to them is, look, you know, to me, the most important thing for any artist is to cultivate and maintain the audience.
Yeah.
That's like, once you do that,
right,
then you can do what you want. But if you just, and I tell them too, if you just want to get like a cafe gig or a place where nobody's there, you want to just play for your own purposes, you can do that too. But the point that I'm telling them is it's going to be difficult for you to come out without discipline and you just playing. It's just difficult to build your audience that way.
Right.
Because it's more about me. It's not about the audience. Old jazz, it's all about the audience, all about the people. Louis Armstrong, when he's playing for me. He's playing for you. Right. He's not playing for himself. The new guys, they play for themselves. Yeah. So, and I find that I'm more like my dad as I'm getting you know, more mature, because, you know, my mom and dad, it was a great combination, D and E. My mother's name was Dolores, but she was the fiery one, and she just, we are all really a lot like our mother in a certain way, but she would not let you ever get anything over on her. Right. My dad just, somebody's trying to get over. It wasn't important for him to let that person know. I know you're trying to get over on me.
I'm your dad's personality, and your mom is my wife's personality. It's like, I don't sweat anything or whatever. I tell you once what my truth is, and if you still insist, I just let that go, because there's only so much room in your head. You know what I'm saying? Right. And we get to decide what gets to live there. You know, my wife will let you know that no. And your mama.
That's just, you know, but we need all of those personalities, you know, I realize. But yeah, my thing at this point, because, you know, especially with students, it's like a student wants to argue or be combative with me. I always let them know, look, let's be clear, man. Whatever you do on your bandstand is your business. Right. I'm only trying to give you some information that maybe could help you. And if it doesn't help, then fine. I'm not.
There's a reason why you're the teacher, huh?
Yeah, I mean, see, man, look, but I also told him, look, man, I was you 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Yeah, I've been there. I get it. You were a freshman in college, I was there. Hey. You know everything. I know it. Right. I was there.
Hey, and you know what? There was something I forgot to ask you, and I hate to go backwards, but you know, it was about your composing and do you work mainly by yourself, or do you collaborate? Do you do many collaborations?
Not typically. I mean, I wrote some lyrics for Bramford. He was looking for some of, I don't think any of them were really that good, come to think of it. Maybe one set was good. But, and then with Tanya Boyd Cannon, I did the collaboration I mentioned earlier on Jazz Party. But typically the collaboration will come on the back end. It'll come while we're at the studio, or
I got you.
If somebody's doing some lines, I might say, man, how would you say this? And then that. As far as composing music, I usually look to the drummers to come up with the groove or the beat or something. That's what, from growing up with my little brother Jason, I would just always ask him, hey man, play something and work this out. Right. Other than that, the music is designed so that musicians have a certain type of freedom. Great on the Mingus House Party is the great example of that. You know, that tune there is, we got about 8 or 9 different motifs going at one time. Wow. Yeah. And if you listen at Beethoven or Mozart, they never had more than 4 or 5.
Right. Yeah.
And but we have, you know, and that was the idea, that we wanted to capture the cacophony of, I say, the internet browser. When you open up the internet and this one comes up and that pops up, and then the Facebook page and then the Instagram and this. So we got the bass line, which is boom, 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 which I stole from Spider-Man inadvertently. I didn't realize it, and nobody told me until the record was out. And we got the main theme, that which is like Mingus. Then we got the counter line, which is taken from Fables of Faubus. So it's like, so that's 3. Then you got the piano, the part that he's playing. Then we have the tenor saxophone. He's playing a counter line, which ends up being he's playing half steps. And then you've got the trumpets are playing the thing, and then the trombone is soloing at the same time. And then we have the clarinet. So it's like all this stuff going on, you know, at one time. Actually, maybe I can pull that track up. Can we play something?
Sure.
How do we do that? Do we share? You set it up for me to share it? Or,
yes. Delfeayo, you may share.
Wait,
share screen.
Make sure I get the right one. Okay, let me see here. Share screen. All right, let me go over to. Wait, I'm going to play this in QuickTime Player. Let me see. All right. So this is the one that I want. Raid on the Mingus house party. All right, and then I go to. Wait a minute. Sorry, y'all. Let me do this again. I want to close this out.
That's another thing this pandemic has done. It's made us learn stuff we don't even want to know.
Oh yeah, okay. So I'm sharing this screen and I'm sharing the sound. And this should be it. Can you hear it? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
Now we got the bass part being played by the bass, trombone, and the baritone saxophone, and here's the melody. We got 8 or 9 things going. You know, so that
Wow.
so that's but you know that's a special thing that we do with Uptown Jazz Arts, and the fact that we've had gigs and we make up songs on the spot.
Wow.
But going to the interesting thing is the sax solos. So the saxophone solo, you know, I got to step back. I was in physical therapy, and I asked the trainer to put on the classical station. He's a young guy, about in his late 20s. And he played the classical station, and I was making a comment to him about what the strings were playing. I said, man, you know, it's interesting. They got the violins playing something and the cellos are playing something completely different. And he said to me, he said, what? Oh, that's different instruments. He said, man, I just thought that was like one instrument.
Yeah.
And it had never occurred to me that people who don't study music, they're hearing an orchestra. It doesn't occur to them that this is, I said, man, that's 50 different people. He was like, damn. But what it made me realize too is that people, the way that they hear sound is not like the way musicians actually think.
Absolutely.
For example, we're playing last night, and I know a guy's getting to a certain place in his solo, and we just play a loud note in the low register. Man, the people start, they clapping, but they clapping because there's a certain release that they weren't expecting. But what happens here, and I'm gonna have to step off in a minute, but the saxophones are soloing together. Right. And then at a certain point, I'm pointing to people in the studio and I'm saying, join in. Right. Until the point when the whole band is improvising at one time. Right. I'm gonna see if I can find exactly where that is. So this is the sax solos. saxes are trading, and at a certain point they're gonna play together, and then we're gonna get all of the band to come in. Right here. I'm more gonna join in. So you know that's
Wow, 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 wow.
that's just a fun. That's the most fun to me because everybody's. It really is the democratic process.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody got their thing that they're doing, but we got to work together. So
Well,
anyway,
it shows too what big ears you have in terms of listening, you know, because it's really in order, you know, how you have to be a great listener to be that good. And what a great example of tension and release, which I happen to be writing a book on songwriting at this moment. But look, tension and release, you get all this stuff going on, especially when you got those long notes, just adding to the tension, and you know what I mean? And then you release it. And it's so beautiful. And you're amazing. Absolutely amazing. God bless you. I know you gotta go. I have one more question before we plug your concert. What's on your bucket list, man? You've done so much stuff. What is it that you yet to do?
I got a couple of things I need to write. You know, I need to write something in an operatic form, and I do need to write a couple of books. That's pretty much it. So there's just things that I need to carve out the time and just make sure that I get it done.
Yes, yeah.
But as far as, you know, I've traveled a fair amount and I could travel more, but I'm pretty cool from that standpoint of view.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's something that I really, I want to just continue to do while I can.
Cool stuff, man. Such an honor to talk to you. You're performing at the Jackson Hall at Mondavi Center in Davis, California on Saturday. I think showtime is at 7:30. And my God, you'll be playing the jazz party and other stuff, or mainly?
Oh yes, no, we got plenty more we dealing with. We always coming up with something, and yeah, it's gonna be a great time. We have the Uptown Jazz Orchestra there, and Marvin Smitty Smith on drums. He'll be special guest. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time, man. We love bringing the fun.
How many people is in the orchestra? They're just traveling.
15.
Woo!
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Let me see. It's 5 saxes, 3 trombones. Yeah, 15. 4 trumpets and 3 rhythm.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have Tanya Boyd Cannon with us. She's going to be in St. Louis. Unfortunately, she won't make Davis. But oh yeah, we're going to bring it, man. We're going to bring the heat.
Now this is a tour that you're on. How many dates are you doing? And
we just have St. Louis. We just left Birmingham, and next we'll be at St. Louis Thursday and Friday, and then Davis on Saturday. So I think that's it for the gigs, the tours that we have for this year, and then we have some things next year.
God bless you, man.
Yeah, bro. Well, I appreciate it.
You are doing it for real. And everybody listening, if you haven't seen Delfeayo Marsalis perform live in the orchestra, you don't want to miss this show, man.
Uptown Jazz Orchestra. Oh yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, be safe. Yeah, be safe. So thank you so much, bro.
Yes, sir.
And I hope to see you later. Sometime soon. All right, man.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. All right, Ms. Moody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.